After one major brain surgery, I was left alone. What happened next will leave you overwhelmed. Sarah lay in the sterile hospital room, staring at the ceiling tiles, her heart pounding with fear and uncertainty. A few days ago she had been the pillar of strength for her students, but now she felt like a ghost drifting through a fading world. The beeping machines and muted voices of nurses seemed distant. What will become of my children? Her job. The whirl of emotions left her breathless, a tightness in her chest echoing her deepest worries. She thought of her students, the familiar faces lighting up every morning when she walked into the classroom. Just last week, Mia had brought her a bouquet of wildflowers, the kind you'd find in a nearby field. Now their laughter and excitement felt like a distant memory. Alone with her thoughts, uncertainty gnawed at her. Would they remember her? Would her recovery mean losing the connection they shared? The emptiness inside only grew heavier, and the days that followed, Sarah returned to a quiet house, one filled with the echoes of her children's laughter. She struggled to accomplish simple tasks, each movement reminding her of her temporary fragility. Yet, amidst her recovery, a message arrived. It was from her estranged father, his voice steeped in an unfamiliar softness. "Sarah, I'm here if you want to talk." Memories flooded in, bittersweet and tainted with cracks of old arguments and misunderstandings. He had been a soldier, strong and proud, but unresolved anger had built an invisible wall between them over the years. Each attempt to connect felt scattered, tense, the air thick with emotional scars. But deep down, Sarah longed for some semblance of a relationship, a bridge she never thought she'd desire. The small town buzzed, and whispers surrounded her like a thick fog. "Have you heard about Sarah? Such a shame," they murmured at the local cafe, their concern heavy on her shoulders. Yet her neighbors adorned her porch with meals, flowers and good wishes, encapsulating the spirit of community she had always cherished. Their acts of kindness swept her up, but with every pie delivered, a small voice nagged, reminding her of the burden she had inadvertently become. Just when hope flickered, a family conflict erupted, dragging old grievances into the light. Sarah felt the weight of conflict pressing down, choking her with discomfort and the need to reconcile. Would she choose forgiveness or remain shackled to resentment? There was a profound desire to relinquish that cycle, to break free from the burdens they both carried. Just as a reunion with her father seemed within reach, a phone call shattered the fragile peace. In that moment, as heartbreak surged through her, Sarah confronted the complexities of identity, family ties, and the sacrifices that held them captive. What would it take to bridge the chasm? Would he finally see the burdens he had unknowingly placed on her? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Despite the rift she felt widen with every unanswered question, a new strength burgeoned deep within her. It was the resilience she had taught her students, the hope she always recognized in their eyes. Would she find the courage needed to push forward? As Sarah sat quietly, tears scalding her cheeks, she whispered, "I want to forgive, but will he understand?" The future hung in balance, full of uncertainty, yet the possibility of redemption shimmered just beyond her reach. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah found herself navigating the labyrinth of her emotions. Her body was healing, but her heart felt heavy with unspoken words and unresolved issues. Each time her phone rang, her stomach twisted. It was either a reminder of her isolation or a chance for reconciliation. The shadows of doubt lurked just behind every breath she took. What if this was the moment to reach out? What if she did call her father? Yet dread coiled in her chest, squeezing tight. What if her voice cracked with pain? What if he didn't have the words to comfort her? The relentless what-ifs flared with every tick of the clock, each sound a reminder of her solitude. One morning the sunlight poured through her kitchen window, illuminating the dust motes dancing lazily in the air. She stared at a steaming cup of tea, feeling the warmth radiate through her hands. The aroma was comforting, familiar, and for a fleeting instant, she felt like the woman she once was, the passionate teacher with a heart full of dreams. Then a knock broke her reverie. Tentatively, she opened the door to find Mia standing there, a bright smile lighting up her young face, clutching a handmade card. "I made this for you, Miss Sarah," she said, her eyes wide with sincerity. Bright colors adorned the paper, with drawings of flowers and hearts. The sight of her student shattered some of the cold isolation surrounding her. "That's beautiful, sweetie," Sarah whispered, kneeling down to Mia's level. As she held the card, her eyes brimmed with tears. At that moment, all the fears and burdens surged forward. "I miss you all so much," she confessed, her voice shaky. Mia's mother appeared at the edge of the porch, worry etched across her brow. "We miss you too, Sarah. You've been such a light to our kids. The school isn't the same without you." A rush of warmth cascaded over Sarah, filling the hollows inside her. Yet, with that warmth came a wave of guilt. "But I feel like I've let you all down." "No, you haven't," Mia interjected, her innocence piercing through the dark clouds that had shadowed Sarah for weeks. "You're strong. And when you get better we can make new memories together, right?" As Sarah embraced the girl, a flicker of hope ignited in her chest. The sincerity of Mia's belief pulled at her heartstrings. She had spent so much time lost in darkness, but here was a reminder of brightness, of resilience that reminded her why she became a teacher in the first place. The following days saw an unexpected shift. With the support of her students' affection, she found herself inspired to send a message to her father. "Can we talk?" it read. It felt like jumping off a cliff, but something within her tingled with anticipation. When her phone buzzed in response, a simple affirmation of "yes" emerged, sending her heart racing. Did he feel the urgency behind her words? Would this be the bridge she longed for, or just one more drop into the chasm? The days passed, each moment heavier with expectation and fear. And just when she was about to lose hope again, the date of their meeting approached. Sarah resolved to face this head-on, freeing herself from the past. She would seek clarity and strive for connection, even if it meant facing old wounds. Lying in bed that night, her mind raced. Was it too late to rewrite their story? Would the meeting be the closure she needed, or just another chapter of hurt? As sleep eluded her, the questions lingered heavily in the air. Tomorrow would arrive with possibilities unwritten, no matter how daunting it felt. Little did she know, those possibilities might shift the very foundation of her journey ahead. Morning arrived, painting the world in shades of golden light, as if nature itself was encouraging Sarah to embrace the day. She could feel the fluttering nervousness in her stomach. Today was the day she would see her father. Part of her wanted to hide beneath the covers, to let another day slip by without confronting her fears. But a growing resolve anchored her to the present. After a hurried breakfast, she slid into a pair of jeans and a soft sweater, still unsure if she had chosen the right thing to wear. It felt so trivial, yet everything felt huge today. She meticulously brushed her hair, noticing how the gray strands wove their way through the chestnut locks. There's been so much time lost, she thought. But today could change that. As she stepped out the door, the familiar sense of spring filled her lungs, freshly cut grass and blooming flowers wrapping her in calm. She took a deep breath, willing herself to believe she could do this. "Drive yourself, you're more than capable," she reminded herself. Parking in front of the coffee shop where they agreed to meet, Sarah's heart raced. The very sight of the shop, the way the sunlight kissed its window panes, brought back memories of laughter shared over steaming mugs. Yet today it felt different. Today it felt haunting. She walked inside, scanning the room until her gaze landed on him, her father. Looking older but much like she remembered, he glanced up, their eyes locking for just a moment. A wave of emotions washed over her. He looked just as nervous, and that thought made her feel strangely comforted. Taking a seat across from him felt monumental, as if they were at a crossroads. She could see the lines of worry etched deeper around his eyes. Would this be the moment they finally crossed the chasm between them? "Hey, Dad," she started softly, her voice trembling with weighty unspoken words. He smiled faintly, but she could see the sadness there, an echo of the past they both carried. "Hey, Sarah," he replied, his voice a mixture of warmth and hesitation. The first few moments passed in silence, their faces studying each other, a lifetime of unsaid words swirling between them. The barista brought over their coffees, and with a nod, Sarah took the first step. "I've missed you." It was simple, but it felt like a massive leap across a yawning gap. "I've missed you too." His voice was quiet, heavy with regret. "I wish I had done better by you." Tears welled in her eyes. Me too. Felt like we were just lost. She paused, grappling with the emotion rising in her throat. I need to understand what happened. We can't just keep avoiding it. He sighed, rubbing his hands together, defeated. I know. I'm so sorry for everything, for not being there. You deserved better. As they began to peel back the layers of hurt and misunderstanding, the conversation ebbed and flowed, moments of laughter breaking through the heavy atmosphere. Each word felt like a spark lighting up long dark corners of their relationship. Just when it looked like they might be steering toward clarity, Sarah caught the shadow of uncertainty creep back in. He hesitated, his gaze dropping, then spoke again. You deserve to know the truth. It's not what you think. Her heart raced anew, the weight of his words settling in the air. What truth could change everything again? The moment was electric and she held her breath, the next few moments stretching indefinitely before her. Would she find the answers she was seeking, or would they unravel further into confusion? As they sat on the cusp of revelation, Sarah felt the ground beneath her shift. Destiny was urging them toward honesty, yet it was laced with fear. She had reached out with hope today. Was she ready for what he was about to unveil? With a trembling voice he met her eyes. It's time to share my side. What would he reveal? And how would it reshape everything she thought she knew? The air grew thick between them, heavy with anticipation. Sarah could hardly breathe, her chest constricted by a mixture of hope and dread. Her father sat across the table, his brow furrowed in concentration as if unearthing a buried treasure. She could see the struggle etched on his face, the battle between wanting to protect her and needing to share the truth. I've kept secrets from you, he began, his voice just above a whisper. My decisions, they were never about you, but I see now how they impacted your life. What do you mean? She asked, her heart pounding. What kind of secrets? He took a deep breath, his fingers trembling slightly as he wrapped them around his cup, the warm ceramic steadying him. Your mother and I, we were in a dark place. There were things she was dealing with that I couldn't understand at the time. I thought leaving was for the best, that it would help you. He paused, his eyes glistening with old pain. But instead, all I did was cause you more hurt. Sarah felt a rush of emotions. Anger, confusion, even a flicker of understanding. You didn't even try to stay to fight for our family, she replied, her voice rising with the weight of each word. I felt abandoned. He nodded slowly, swallowing the lump in his throat. I know. And I can't change the past. But I want to explain why I left. Why I thought it was the only choice. Your mother, she struggled harder than I ever let on. I was scared, Sarah. Scared of failing you both. So I ran. A lump formed in her own throat. But running didn't protect me, Dad. It just left me wondering what was wrong with me. His expression crumbled, and for the first time in years, she saw the raw vulnerability of a man who seemed so strong yet broken. I see that now, he murmured. I was so lost in my own fears that I couldn't see how I was hurting you. Silence enveloped them, a soft weight hanging in the air. She couldn't decide if she wanted to hug him or pull away. What happened to Mom? She could hardly bring herself to ask, each word carrying the weight of the past. His eyes clouded, and he took a shaky breath. She got help, but it was too late. The pain of our separation took too much out of her. I didn't know how badly it affected you until you reached out after all that time. I've been haunted by that every day. Tears slipped down her cheeks, and for a moment, she felt a flicker of empathy that rushed to the forefront. He had suffered too. So much silence had been wrapped around their family, and what had once seemed unforgivable was shifting into something more human. I don't want you to be just a memory of what went wrong, she said, her voice softening. I want us to understand each other. Can we try to move forward? Together? His face brightened and the sorrow there began to transform, a glimmer of hope igniting in his eyes. I would like that more than anything. But just as the warmth began to envelop their conversation, the door to the coffee shop swung open, letting in a gust of wind that disrupted the moment. Sarah felt the chill linger even after the door closed, her heart skipping a beat when she saw a familiar figure enter. Her mind raced back years as she recognized the last person she expected to see, her mother. What was she doing here? And why now? The two men's eyes met, and in that moment, both hope and fear surged back. Would her mother's return change everything again, or would it be the key to healing the pieces they thought lost? Sarah's breath caught as she glanced back at her father, his expression mirroring her own shock. How would they navigate this next chapter filled with more unanswered questions? The room tensed as her mother's presence filled the air. Sarah's heart raced, uncertainty gripping her tight. The familiar warmth she once associated with her mother felt distant, overshadowed now by a whirlwind of feelings. "Mom," Sarah barely uttered, her voice trembling. It was as if the years of silence had wrapped around her throat. Instinctively, she looked back at her father, searching for guidance in his troubled eyes. Her mother stood frozen at the door, a ghost from the past, wearing a hesitant smile that was both inviting and terrifying. "Sarah, I didn't expect to see you here," she stammered, breaking the strange spell hanging over them. "Clearly," Sarah replied, her tone sharper than she intended. Memories of unresolved pain flashed before her. The emptiness left in her mother's absence suddenly felt like a live wire, shocking her into the present. "I was just passing by and thought," her mother trailed off, the excuse hanging weakly in the air. "I thought you were gone," Sarah said, her words coated with years of resentment. "Why now? After everything?" The ache in her chest grew heavy, emotions tumbling over one another, and yet she could see the flicker of shame cross her mother's face. For a brief moment her facade cracked, revealing the vulnerability beneath. "I know," her mother whispered, taking a tentative step forward. "I know I haven't been there for you. I can't change that. But I want to talk. I need to explain." Her father, for the first time since his confession, cleared his throat. "Maybe we should all sit down together." As they found a table at the back, the weight of the past felt even heavier. Sarah's heart thudded as she wrestled with the tumult of emotions, the leftover anger, the aching desire for a connection, the fear of another disappointment. "I was scared too, Sarah," her mother said, her voice cracking. "Your father's leaving pushed me into a very dark place. I made choices that hurt us both." She glanced at Sarah's father, a mixture of regret and a hint of longing in her gaze. "But I didn't want to hurt you. I wanted to protect you, I just didn't know how." "Is that why you disappeared?" The question felt like a punch, raw and stinging. "Why you didn't try to fight for me? For us?" Tears filled her mother's eyes, shimmering in the light. "I was overwhelmed. I thought I could find myself without dragging you down. I thought you'd be better off without me." Sarah felt the anger simmer down, replaced by something softer. "But you weren't gone. You chose to be. I had to wonder if it was me who drove you away." "No, honey. It was never you. It was my own struggles. My own failures." The desperation in her mother's voice twisted Sarah's heart. "I spent so long feeling like I was unwanted," Sarah replied, her voice breaking. "Like I didn't matter enough for either of you to stay." The air surged with a new tension, a chance perhaps to reshape their broken pieces. "Please, can we start over?" Her mother's plea hung in the air. "I want to be here for you now." As they searched each other's eyes, a flicker of hope glittered through the cracks of old pain. But the past loomed heavy, a wall between them that felt impossible to scale. Sarah glanced at her father, who looked torn between repairing his past and embracing a future together. For the first time in years, she felt unsteady but alive, caught between fear and the flickering flame of possibility. What would it actually take to heal their family? Just then, her phone buzzed insistently in her pocket. She pulled it out to find a cryptic message that sent her heart racing. Who could it be, and how would it complicate things further? An unexpected turn lay just ahead, and she was about to find out. Sarah stared at her phone, the cryptic text pulling her out of the fragile moment with her parents. Her fingers hesitated over the screen. The message read simply, "We need to talk. Tonight. It's urgent." Her heart raced anew, a mix of panic and curiosity swirling inside her. Who could it be? What could possibly be so urgent? She glanced up, caught the worried expression on her father's face, and then shifted to her mother, who was biting her lip, an unease radiating from her. "Are you okay?" Her mother asked softly, leaning forward. "You look pale." I just got a text," Sarah murmured, her eyes darting back to the screen. "Says it's urgent." "For who?" her father asked, his brow furrowing. Sarah hesitated, torn between wanting to keep this newfound connection with her mother alive, and the need to confront whatever awaited her. "It's from a friend. They're going through something. I think I need to go. Now." Her dad raised an eyebrow, concern lacing his voice. Can't it wait? The pleading tone of his voice tugged at her heart. Yet that frantic energy from her phone felt impossible to ignore. I don't know. I need to find out what's going on. Her mother reached over and gently placed her hand on Sarah's. Can we at least talk for a few more minutes? I want to understand. I want to hear you. The look in her mother's eyes held a mixture of hope and desperation, and Sarah felt the weight of their shared past like a thick blanket smothering both their hearts. Okay, Sarah agreed, squeezing her mom's hand. But I might need to step out fast if it's serious. Fine, her father replied, a trace of frustration creeping in. Just make sure to stay safe. You know how things can get. His voice softened as if he finally understood the anxiety they were all grappling with a nod. Sarah pushed aside her phone, but the urgency still pulsed within her, louder than any of the words they were sharing. She felt the distance between moments that changed everything between reconnection and the lingering unknown. Can you tell me about the choices you made? Why you thought leaving was the right path? Sarah did her best to keep her voice steady, inviting a conversation that could tear down some of the walls forged by time. Her mother hesitated again, her gaze drifting. It wasn't just about me. I thought I had a chance to get better to figure things out. But I see now it hurt you more than anything. Her voice cracked. I just remember the day I left, it felt like I was drowning, and I thought you'd be better off. I wasn't better off, Sarah said, her heart heavy, a storm brewing behind her eyes. I needed you. I know that now, her mother replied, tears pooling. I can't change the past, but I want to build a future. I want to make it right. Just then, Sarah's phone buzzed again, pulling her back to the present and away from her mother's outstretched hand. She glanced at her screen, seeing another message. Where are you? I can't do this without you. A wave of panic flooded through her. I have to go, she stated firmly. I'm sorry. I can't just leave this unresolved. Please, Sarah, don't shut me out, her mother begged, emotions wrapping all around them anew. I'll be right back, Sarah vowed, the weight of her decision absorbing the air between them. As she rose from her seat, tension danced in the air behind her, mingling with a flicker of hope only time would tell how all of this would unfold. But could she really face whatever was waiting for her outside? As Sarah stepped into the world beyond the cafe, she felt the pulse of uncertainty. What awaited her on the other side? The night air wrapped around Sarah like a thick fog, heavy and layered with unease. She took a deep breath, one filled with a sense of urgency, but also an electric charge of determination. With her heart racing, she started walking, each step a mix of anticipation and dread. Her mind raced through possibilities. What could be so urgent that her friend needed her right now? As she pulled her jacket closer around her, the text flashed across her mind again. I can't do this without you. That felt so dire, like a siren call from the depths, and it tugged at her insides as she navigated the familiar streets of her hometown. Shadows lurked in the corner of her vision. Memories surfaced, laughing with friends, the sun shining on summer picnics, a comforting sense of belonging. But this was a different night, heavy with the weight of unresolved feelings and untold stories. She pressed her thumb against the screen, debating whether to respond. Should she tell her friend that she was on her way? Was it fair to her parents to leave so quickly? The urgency of the text buzzed in her mind, drowning out the quiet laments of her heart. Just as she reached the corner where she had to decide which path to take, her phone buzzed again. The sensation jolted her. She looked down, a wave of dread washing over her as she read the new message. I'm scared. Please hurry. Damn it, she whispered through gritted teeth. The weight of the world pressed on her shoulders. Was it really friendship calling her? Or was it something deeper, a beckoning to heal, to confront her own fears? With every fiber of her being, she knew she had to keep going. She took off briskly, a newfound resolve propelling her forward. Clenching her fists, she pictured her friend's face. Uncertainty mingled with desperation. Who was she to ignore that plea for help? But a nagging worry pulled at her. What about her mom? That fragile moment they had shared back at the cafe was slipping from her grasp. Sarah had hoped to leave with some assurance that they could start anew, but now it felt like all that progress was suspended in the space between here and there. As she approached her friend's house, the neon streetlights flickered against the dark canvas of the night. It felt surreal, like stepping into a dream where everything was just a little off-kilter. Shadows shifted like whispers around her, and she paused for a moment, collecting her thoughts. What was she walking into? Whatever was brewing at the other side of that door felt monumental. Would she be able to deal with another person's turmoil when her own life felt so unsettled? Could she be that friend who stood strong? With that thought, she steeled herself, raising her hand to knock. The sound echoed in the stillness, a sharp contrast to her racing heartbeat. When the door creaked open, she was met with a sight that stole her breath. Her friend stood there, eyes wide and glistening with tears that shimmered like glass. Sarah felt the warmth of empathy wash over her, her own fears dimming in the face of someone else's pain. "Sarah," her friend whispered, voice shaky. "Thank you for coming. I didn't know who else to turn to." In that moment, all the weight trailing behind her seemed to dissipate. As she stepped inside, she embraced the unknown, not just for her friend, but for herself. But as the door closed, sealing away her past, she couldn't shake the thought of her mother waiting back at the cafe. What was she going to say when Sarah got back? And would this moment carry the same urgency she felt now? Stepping into the dimly lit room, Sarah braced herself. What revelations awaited her? Would this turn into a night of healing, or one filled with more questions than answers? The moment Sarah stepped into the room, the heaviness clung to her like a second skin. She glanced around, taking in the familiar clutter of her friend's life scattered about a half-empty coffee cup, stacks of books, and hastily thrown jackets on the couch. But it was the look in her friend's eyes, a blend of fear and vulnerability, that pulled her focus. "Sit down," her friend urged, her voice trembling slightly, as if the weight of what she was about to share was almost too much to bear. Sarah took a seat on the edge of the couch, heart pounding in her chest. "What's going on? You said you were scared." Her friend swallowed hard, the fear in her expression deepening. It's about my dad. He called me earlier, and I could tell he was upset. Things at home have been really tense ever since." The words hung in the air, thick and bitter. Inside, Sarah felt a flicker of understanding igniting. She knew all too well the kind of turmoil that could light a fuse in family dynamics. "What did he say?" He didn't say much, just that he felt alone. Then he hung up before I could really understand what was happening. It's like I could hear it in his voice, he asked, struggling. Her friend choked back a sob, hands trembling as she clasped them together. "I don't know how to help him or what it all means." Something constricted in Sarah's chest. It was familiar, that feeling of being trapped beneath the weight of someone else's pain, both wanting to help and fearing the mess it could bring into her own life. "You don't have to do this alone. Let us go talk to him together." Her friend's gaze darted to Sarah, searching. "But what if he's overwhelmed? He doesn't want us to see him like that, especially me. I don't want to pressure him into talking if he's not ready." "But he needs you," Sarah insisted. "And maybe you need him too. You're not a burden for wanting to reach out. You're his daughter. You have every right to be there for him." With that declaration, a flicker of hope brewed in her friend's eyes. "You really think so?" "Absolutely. Sometimes all it takes is showing that you care. Just being there makes a difference." Her friend took a deep breath, visibly gathering her courage. "Okay, let us go." They stood, and just as they moved toward the door, uncertainty loomed again. Sarah's thoughts drifted back to that earlier moment with her mother. Her heart ached at the thought of her own unfinished story while knowing her friend needed her. As they stepped outside, the brisk night air slapped against them, invigorating and cold. Sarah felt a sharp sense of clarity, like the fog lifting. She glanced at her friend, who now held an air of determination mixed with vulnerability that felt contagious. "Do you think we'll figure everything out?" her friend asked as they approached the car, the glow of the street lamp illuminating her features. "I hope so," Sarah replied, feeling a weight she hadn't known she was carrying begin to lift. "And if we don't, we'll face it together." They got into the car, and as Sarah started the engine, she couldn't shake the sense that this was the beginning of something not only for her friend but for herself too. Could this night lead to a change in their lives? A healing of their own wounds as they reached out to help others? But just as the thought crystallized, her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from her mother. "I need to talk when you get home." A cold knot of dread unfurled in her stomach. What awaited her when she returned? Would the night hold the answers they all needed? Or would facing their truth shatter the fragile sense of peace that had just started to settle in? The car hummed quietly as they pulled away from the curb, the headlights slicing through the darkness. Sarah's thoughts spun in a web of worry. She stole a glance at her friend, who was staring out the window, lost in her own turmoil. The streetlights flickered by, illuminating moments of apprehension on her friend's face. "Do you want to talk about it?" Sarah asked gently, breaking the silence that had settled in the car. Her friend turned to her, a hint of gratitude in her eyes. "I just keep thinking, what if it's worse than I imagine? What if he doesn't want to see me? Then we'll figure it out." Sarah's voice was steady, a reassurance against the rushing uncertainty. Sometimes people just need time, but shutting them out can sometimes make it worse. They drove on, the city night alive with sounds that felt so far away from what they were confronting. Sarah's heart thrummed in her chest, anxiously aware that they were both on the brink of a moment that could change everything. As they turned onto her friend's street, they spotted her dad's car parked outside. The familiar figure of her friend's father loomed in the doorway, the porch light casting a glow that felt both inviting and ominous. "All right, here we are," Sarah said, feeling the weight of the moment settle. Her friend nodded, biting her lip with uncertainty. "Let us just go in." Her friend exhaled, determination mixed with fear. They walked up the porch steps, the creak of the wood loud in the stillness. Just before her friend opened the door, Sarah squeezed her hand. "You're brave. You've got this," she whispered. As they stepped inside, the familiar scent of coffee mixed with an undercurrent of something more troubling filled the air. Her friend's dad was sitting at the kitchen table, his face lined with worry. When he saw them, surprise flickered in his eyes. "Hey, I didn't expect company," he said faintly, pulling himself up straight. His voice was heavy with exhaustion. "Dad," her friend faltered, taking a step forward but then paused. "Can we talk?" Sarah's voice cut through the tension, her heart pounding. "I think you might need us right now." The silence that followed echoed painfully, filled with unspoken words. Her friend's dad looked from Sarah to his daughter, vulnerability flitting across his features. Finally he nodded, his shoulders slumping slightly. "Yeah, I could use some company." The three of them settled at the table, the air charged with the electricity of hesitant hearts. Her friend glanced at Sarah, gratitude and fear mingling on her face. And then a soft raw truth began to spill from her dad's lips. "I felt so alone lately," he started, his voice breaking. "The world feels heavy, it weighs down on me. I didn't know how to reach out." Tears prickled at her friend's eyes. "But Dad, we're here for you. You don't have to deal with this alone." As the conversation deepened, Sarah felt the room warm with shared truth, slowly weaving together the fabric of their fractured connections. She watched the weight begin to lift from her friend's shoulders, her dad's hesitance melting away with every confession. But in the back of her mind, a gnawing worry tugged at her thoughts. Would her family's issues mirror this? And was she going to have the strength to face it when she got home? The idea of reuniting with her own unexpressed pain loomed overhead like a storm cloud. Just then her phone buzzed yet again, vibrating against the table like a warning bell. The weight of the moment hung in the air, heavy with potential. What was waiting for her when she got home? And how would it change everything? As she reached for the phone, anxiety tightened in her chest. What came next could alter the path of both families tonight. Would the shared healing between them ripple into something more profound? With a sudden sharp breath, Sarah braced herself for whatever was about to unfold. Would she have the courage to face her own truth? As Sarah's hand hovered over her phone, she felt every heartbeat thrumming through her fingers. She pressed the screen to unlock it, reading the message that gleamed bright against the dark backdrop. "You need to come home now." Panic surged through her. The words felt like chains, dragging her heart back to her own unresolved emotions. But right now they were all here, gathered over a table of family on the brink of a breakthrough. Taking a deep breath, Sarah turned to her friend's father. "You're not alone in this," she said firmly, her voice steadied by a sense of purpose. "You have your daughter, and together you can face whatever's weighing on you." Her friend gave a tentative nod, encouraging her dad to lean into the support. He looked at them, his eyes glistening. "It just feels like everything is falling apart. I didn't know how to reach out to show my weakness." "And that's okay," Sarah whispered, feeling the warm embrace of vulnerability surrounding them. "We all fear being a burden, but sharing the load can really help." The room felt charged with potential, the kind of energy that dared them to confront their doubts instead of letting them fester. For the first time, her friend's dad began to talk, voice quaking with emotion. When I lost my job, I felt like I lost my purpose. I buried myself in despair, thinking I could protect you both from this pain. Sarah swallowed hard, a familiar heaviness echoing in her own heart. It mirrored the burden she had borne, the weight she was still wrestling with back home. Listening closely, she thought of her mother and the mounting feelings left unspoken between them. She knew she wouldn't shy away from her truth anymore. "We need to let each other in," she said, her resolve firm. "No more hiding." The moment hung in the air, charged with a newfound understanding. Sarah's friend reached over, placing a tentative hand on her dad's arm. "I love you, Dad, no matter what happens. We'll figure this out together." Tears brimmed in his eyes, and for the first time he nodded. I'm scared, but I want to try." As they held each other's gaze, words became bridges, connecting hearts once fractured by silence. Sarah felt hope swell within her, aware that this moment illuminated the profound power of healing through communication. But she knew there was a tension waiting for her back home. The knot in her stomach tightened. "I need to go," she said, standing abruptly. The weight of her family's unresolved history loomed ahead. "But I'll be right here if you need me." Without waiting for a response, she darted out the door, her heart racing. The night was a blur as she navigated the path back, her mind swirling with the possibility of what lay ahead. As she reached her house, she could see the soft glow of the porch light, though it felt colder than before. Sarah took one last deep breath, summoning every ounce of courage. The door creaked open and she stepped inside. "Mom," she called softly, searching through the shadows for the familiar figure that had haunted her dreams. Her mother's voice broke through the silence, warm yet filled with anticipation. "I'm here, Sarah." As Sarah turned the corner, she found her mother seated on the edge of the couch, eyes reflecting a deep pool of regret and hope. "We need to talk," her mother said, voice thick. Tears pooled in Sarah's eyes. "I want to understand. I've missed you." Every word tumbled out, filled with years held silent. "I miss you too, and I regret my choices. I want to make it right," her mother replied, her voice breaking as she reached out. Without a second thought, Sarah crossed the room and fell into her mother's embrace, the weight of their unspoken history melting with every heartbeat. In that moment, surrounded by love and vulnerability, the frozen parts of their relationship began to thaw. Maybe they could rewrite their story together. "We can heal, but we have to be brave," Sarah whispered, heart racing with an unfamiliar lightness. Her mother nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Together we can face all of it." As they stood there, a fragile hope sparked a sign that they could reclaim their life from the shadows of the past. Together they would find a way to mend the fractures and weave a new narrative. A path illuminated by forgiveness, understanding, and love, a future colored with warmth instead of shadows. It was time to embrace the light ahead, step by step, moment by moment. You need to subscribe now to witness these incredible transformations. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and bring more heartwarming stories to all. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey of healing.